Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
And I think you must be aware of the background of the matrix report, what we discussed, how it works and the business cases that we'll be getting in creation of matrix report. Yes, it's a graphical representation and it's not web enabled and you can get dashboards out of that. And I think when we found, because she's working, she's asked for specific examples. Basically, in most of the cases, we'll be actually creating matrix report. Max will be creating some kind of matrix report, I can say. We'll be attaching to dashboards. That's the main usage we'll have with the matrix report. And also any kind of standalone reports that we create for matrix will be in the form of graphical interface. That's the main usage of matrix report we'll have and whatever report that we'll be creating. If there is any use case that leadership wanted to have a kind of dashboard format, we'll be creating this matrix and attach it to the dashboard. The same scenario applies for every use case. Let's say if employee headcount report what we wanted to have based on location or based on country or based on cost center, based on supervisory organization, any kind of criteria if the leadership wanted to have or business wanted to have. We'll create a report based on those criteria. Basically, the main usage of matrix report will be tree. It will be grouping all the conditions into one and it will be returning the output. Based on that condition, if we wanted to know all the candidate information from any kind of external sources, or if we wanted to know the headcount of employees from specific location or specific country or specific cost center. How many cost center are there in the organization? If we wanted to group all this headcount of employees into one and populate as a kind of data. And also you can have as how you give field level information in advanced report rate. You also do the same. But only thing is the population or the display. How it works is it groups all the criteria into one and it will be populating as a kind of data in a single format. And in the output, the main advantage that you do in a matrix report is when you have seen, when you run advanced report, we'll be giving the field criteria and we'll run the report and we'll be getting the output. And that's the maximum that we can do with advanced report. But in matrix report, once the report is created with all the fields, filters and any kind of prompts, after you run a report, you'll be getting an output and from output, you'll be drilling down into more details with matrix report. We'll be seeing how all those drill down options can be enabled, what fields you wanted to drill to get into, more information of employee, such kind of things. We'll be seeing in matrix report and source information filters and all field level information as similar as how we have given for advanced report. The same kind of work you have to do for matrix as well. Only thing is what fields that you wanted to drill down. If employee, if headcount, we are getting based on country. That information will be getting anyway. These are the employees from this country. But if you wanted to drill down into employee information, what is employee name, manager, supervisor organization, cost center, location, hire date. All this information you have an option to drill down from the output of matrix report. This is going to be one of your, if you are attending any kind of Workday certification or certification course or any kind of test out exams, that Workday conducts. This is one of the questions that you will be getting. What is the main difference that you see in advanced and matrix? The options they would be giving. You have an option to drill down from the output of report. And there is going to be a kind of question where in any report that you say outside of the matrix and trended, there will be one more report called trended. These are the two reports that will allow you to drill down into the fields and get the information from the output of the report. There's one of the options that you'll be having in only advanced and in only matrix and trended reports. We'll be creating some of the use cases similar to what I discussed based on country, based on cost center. Probably you can relate the same kind of logic for any other requirements as well. Only thing is that you need to know your matrix report will be grouping the information based on the you have an option to do a kind of grouping. Whatever field that you give in grouping based on that field, your report will be returned in the output format by combining all the sources into one. Let's take an example by getting employees based on cost center or based on country, which is a headcount report. I can say which in most of the scenarios, every customer resource will be having this kind of requirement to get headcount of organization based on country or based on cost center or based on other criteria. What you choose are also. You can also define some prompts from when you wanted to have this data to be populated. You can do in that way. And also we have multiple graphical options that we have in matrix report based on your requirement, based on how effectively that you wanted to show the data to any kind of leadership team. You can actually follow this process. And sources are same as similar. You know how you choose for advanced. You can choose similar sources. How we wanted to have indexed one or standard one, anything that works. But only thing is you will be grouping the data in the source. The report what we'll be creating is mostly required report in general scenario. I have the proxy as logon right-click proxy that I have some advanced option access. I'm giving country by country, but in the place of country, you can add anything. You can add cost center, you can add location, you can add country, you can add department, supervisor, automation or manager, anything you can add. Let me talk about the definition report definition options that we have. The only thing that I wanted to talk about is drill down and these matrix options. These are the two options that you will see in a different from when you compare with the advanced report. The rest of all other are same. What is here? Filter PIOMS output share advanced. All are similar to advanced only. Only thing is in advanced, you will not see the option to make this report as web service. That is the only thing that you will be seeing. But the rest of the things are same. And coming to matrix option, this is where your primary role of matrix report comes into picture, where you will be defining on what basis you wanted to group, on what criteria that you wanted to group the output of the file. That's where you are going to specify in a row grouping. Row grouping is nothing but which groups all your data, all your rows, whatever field that you give here. Based on that field, it groups all your data and populates. You can max give 2 to 8 row groupings. But other than that, you cannot give max 1 or 2 row groupings that you can give. And you also have column grouping, which is an optional one. But row grouping is a mandatory one. At least one row grouping. You have to specify that your report output will be grouped with the data. You can give 1 to 2 criteria of row grouping in when you have a kind of exceptional requirement. You can go up to 8 also. But max to max other than 1 to 2, you cannot leave it blank. You cannot leave it blank. Your report will throw error that you have to specify row grouping. At the same time, you also have an option to go for column grouping, but it is an optional case. Here you'll be specifying what kind of summarization that you wanted to go, whether you wanted to have active employees in this location or terminated employees in this location. All these criteria will be specifying. In this or by default, you'll be having count. What should be the count? No, you'll be having in the place of count. You can also specify if you are looking only for terminated. You can give terminated count here. If you are giving actually both active and terminated, all the count will be populated here. And once you give here, you have an option to drill down. Once the report is ran, you will be getting an output right. The one that I was saying only matrix report will have an option. I'm sorry. In the previous thing matrix, here you have something called index right in the corner. Like when do we select that? Where is that? Index. There is a column right, this one. This one is auto selected by default and it will be selected. There is no kind of option where you'll be seeing it as unchecked. It will be like everywhere, like even in the top table. You'll be checked actually. This is not something you know associated with the source actually, because you see, if you see here the source, we have taken standard source actually. We have not taken anything related to index. But you see an option that has already enabled for this option, where you'll not have this information if you have other than count. If you wanted to go with, any kind of terminated count, or if you wanted to create, if you are creating any kind of any kind of recruiting related reports where you wanted to have different conditions, different summarizations. You'll remove this row and you'll be adding a few more additional rows of an account. Average kind of information. In this scenario, this option will go off. But by default, when you go for count, you'll be having this index option automatically checked. We'll be seeing a few more reports where, other than count, what can we select and see how that can be achieved, where you'll not see index option enabled for those kind of criteria. Makes sense. Emit. Thank you. And drill down. This is where drillable fields you'll be selecting. What fields that you wanted to drill into. When you drill into, you'll be seeing the actual data. What you'll be giving here, your detailed data is there, right? Whatever fields that you will be giving, you will have an option to drill down into these fields from the fields that you'll be selecting. Let's say employee you have given as a kind of drillable field, employee name as a kind of drillable field. When you get into that employee or employee name, you will be able to get all this detailed information. All the information, all the fields that you'll be giving in detailed data. You'll be drilling onto this detailed data by the fields that you will be configuring here as a drillable field. And in some scenarios, you don't allow to drill down into the fields. Let's say if any personal information is there, age, mobile number, contact information, all this kind of some personal information would be there in the report. In that scenario, you'll disable to drill down to the particular fields. Disable drill to details report. If you select this option, though the level fields are there, this will disable to get into those areas. We'll be disabling those drillable options to the field levels. Such kind of requirements when you are sharing to all users in the organization where some personal information would be there in the report. Such kind of scenarios will not allow users to drill down into the fields, but they'll be able to view the report in a graphical format and run it. And they should be able to know the count based on cost center, based on whatever criteria that you'll be giving grouping. They should be able to view all the information. But only thing is, when you select this option, disable drill down into the report will actually make them to not drill down into the fields and identify the data. Whatever personal information is there, they will not be able to view with this option. And rest of all other options are what we've seen in advanced. We'll not go into that, but we'll use how we've used in advanced report. Now let's say the headcount report. What we are creating should be based on country. The same kind of criteria you can use in multiple scenarios. If I'm giving country here, you can also give cost center. You can also give supervised organization. You can also give location. You can also do by manager. By all these criteria, you can group the data. Now let's see if I'm going with the country. I wanted to group the data through country. I can group it here. and column grouping. I don't want to actually specify any column grouping. And since I wanted to know the count of the population, I'll be mentioning as it is the count. Here you can specify multiple options. Let's say now I have given location of this country, right? I can also do by, let's say, if I wanted to add cost center also, you can see that kind of grouping also. In the same scenario, you can replicate whatever criteria that your business will be asking while you're working for matrix report. Drilled on what fields you should be able to tell. You need to specify those fields. The Maxino will be giving the employee basic information like worker. Priority. I'll give these three fields as a kind of available fields, which allows you to drill down into the fields from the output of the report. Then here the actual data that you wanted to have in your report. Complete your data requirements will be actually giving here. You're looking for terminated will be giving terminated data as well. What about information? The basic or any kind of reporting information that you can specify here, but this will not populate until although employees are drilled down. will not give any filter. Let's run for all the population and prompts. We'll see how we can also set it prompt for matrix report and output. Here is the main option that you need to choose your format of your output. A chart and table, which will be populated both in chart as well as in the table format. What chart that you wanted to select, you can select it here. We have been on the required information prompts. We'll see again how to set it up. How? Since you have seen advanced reports, same kind of prompting you'll be seeing. I'm trying to run the report. This is how your report has been populated in a table format and also in chart. What we have selected based on country. What is the head count of the report rate? Here all the countries have populated, and from United States you can see 57, and from UK you can see all these things. And that's how we can actually go based on country and view the output based on country in a graphical format. There's a kind of column cluster graph that I've taken. What you can choose any other format of graph that will actually populate data. I've actually given a kind of bars which will let the population to be shown in a graphical format. But you can select any other format that you wanted to have. And here is the main thing that I was also getting total count here. And total count based on the count option that we have not checked or not actioned. The same option will be getting you count. Here I was telling the right drill down field. Now, whatever field that you have given in the form of drill, you will be getting this. And if you click on view details, this will allow to actually access all this information. Whatever you're supposed to see, you should be able to see from count itself. You can drill down into all the fields from a graphical format. And if you come down here, you can see the most detailed information also. From United States and cost center, since I've been cost center, it has a group by cost center also. From US, you can see this count, and the same count you can see for all the countries and cost center. Why is there no cost center in the graph? I'm not getting the difference. You'll be having cost center also, you can see here. This is cost center only. See, it's cost center only. You mean the country and the cost center is combined. If you see here in US, there is blank cost center. What do you see? Blank information, right? You see the blank? And UK, you can see the below cost center is there. Office of HR is there. Similarly, you can find for all other countries. Thank you. And cost center. Also, if you click on your cursor, you'll be getting what is the count of based on cost center. You should be able to see the count also. Whatever you give in row grouping, that will be populated here. That's how you will be seeing in detail information for tabular format. Amit, sorry, can you please go back to the report where we defined it? And is there a chance that we can have this and that like side by side to see what is populated there? Side by side means in graph, you mean to see the output one side and this report definition on the other side. We can compare and see like which part comes in which part of the graph. Am I confusing? No, I think you wanted to see what you're giving is coming on. This is a group I can say and I've opened in another tab. What do you want to compare? You wanted to compare the detailed data or what you wanted to compare? Can we go to the report definition? Here we have given in the row grouping location, address and cost center. This is the part which is combining and coming in the x-axis right. Location, address, country and cost center is actually grouping the information. If you see here, location is the one and cost center is the one. This is actually grouping the employees, grouping all the workers and getting the count. If you can see here for each, let me go down. That will be more. You can see location, address and cost center are the main criteria, which is grouping the information. Based on these two, you should be getting the count here. If I give like employee ID, for example, in the row grouping, then you mean like how, like for example, 100 employees are there. Then do I get United States of America blank and all the 100 employees ID in the x-axis? You'll be getting employee ID here. You'll be getting employee ID, but you'll be not able to group that right. Employee ID you'll be having for every employee. Right. On what basis you are grouping here? The location in the sense you have. You know, someone will be in UK, someone will be in New Year, someone will be in Canada. You're grouping all that and you're getting the count. All the Canada employees. What is the count? All the UK employees. What is the count? You're actually stealing your report. But if you're giving employed as a kind of criteria in row grouping, what does that make sense? Every employee will be having the employee ID right. Let me show that you will be not able to achieve you know the actual goal of the report. When I give you whatever is common, like for 4 or 5 items. Only with that you can. I have a question. Does this mean that it has to be a multi-instance field? That's when you can use this. You mean to say in grouping? Basically country, it's multi-instance, right? No, it can be singular. No, this is singular. No, singular. It's singular. Cost center is also single instance. When you say multi-instance, combining of all these values in one field, which is nothing with multi-instance. But you're seeing all the countries in different rows, right? Cost center also, you're seeing in different rows. Also, let's see if we go with another kind of case. I'll remove location, country, but mostly whenever your leadership team, whenever your business users wanted to go with headcount. Most of the cases, it will be by country or by cost center, or if you think in different, by supervisory organization. There is a maximum. They might have the requirements. But for us to understand more about the role grouping, we'll try with the different options. As I remember, I was asking employed. We'll try to see if we can go with employee if we are going how it populates. You'll be having C around. This is 2. 52 rows you got, and each employee. What is the count? This requirement doesn't make any sense, right? Employed is count and all is not making sense based on employee if you're actually looking for the count. You can actually give it an advanced report, and whatever output you're getting, you can treat that as a kind of the count. If you actually create the employed in advanced report, employee name and all, and if you run report, whatever the data that you are getting in the output, that you can treat as a count rate, the total population. And here you're not able to actually meet the actual criteria of matrix. To put where it groups all the things, all the criteria like supervisory organization, there will be a bunch of team members under one supervisory organization from different locations. Because such things, you can actually meet as expected, and location cost center. Multiple people will be working in different cost center from different locations. And if you wanted to group all those cost centers from based on country, based on the location, you can achieve that through matrix report. But if you're going for with the employee, is it giving a kind of clear information what you need to have employed? We have 2010, 202, 1081. Count of 2 you're getting because you have, kind of very high employee would have got rehired. You'll be getting that information based on employed. But going by location, going by cost center, going big, suppose your organization where your grouping function will effectively work in grouping all the data here, since in some cases we'll be seeing 2. In some cases, you'll be seeing one which doesn't actually meet the group criteria requirement when you go with employed. Because implied it will be every employee will be having the same. I'm going without employee code. No employee will be there. Your group function will not effectively give the output what is needed. But when you go with countries would be different for each employee, might be based on country. If you wanted to group the headcount, you can group that one based on cost center. If you wanted to group the headcount, you can do that one in this cost center. How many employees are there? Altogether, how many cost centers that are available in Workday for each cost center? If you wanted to know the headcount, you can do that one. Similarly, location. Similarly, country. Similarly, supervisor organization. Whatever suppose that organization are there in Workday, get all the list of suppose that organization and the count of that supervisor organization. How many employees are there in that supervisor organization? Your telling matters to put it up in that way. Groups. All the suppose that organizations gives you all the suppose that organization. But at the same time, it will also give you the head count from each suppose that organization. That's the goal of matrix report that you'll be seeing, and in row grouping and column grouping, you'll be specifying the main criteria that you wanted to group the data with. Makes sense. Any questions? Yes, I might, thank you. But can you please go back to the description of the definition? Please scroll down. I'm just wondering from you have the cost and the report, right? Oh, the content of the report. Define the field summaries. Is actually gives you the count. Similarly, when you can go with, if you have any kind of statistical information, it can go with average. You can go with the. I know that there are multiple options to summarize your data, which you can choose here. Just because you have given count here in the report, we are able to get the details of the count. You're able to see the count information. Can you please go to the output? Under this count, you have the legend. Right. Under the count, we have 846. When you click that, you're able to see some details. It's because you have given report to summarize it. Is that right? When you go to the detailed data, whatever fields that you have given in a detailed data, you should be able to go here. Based on that, you should be able to view all this information. But the word count comes here because we have put it under summarize. Thank you. And we are not able to see the actual drill down fields here because you know the employee and the, I think, cost center we have given. Right? We are not able to see those available because we have changed the employee as a kind of for grouping. Right? Since your report is actually grouping with the employee, you should be able to see from the level options. If you go to table format, from the count, able to directly get into the level of fields here. Detailed data fields, not available fields because you're grouping with the employee. And each employee will be having employee. Right. Those available fields will not be populating. But still you can see here view by cost center if you click on this. Based on cost center, you should be seeing this employee. In previous case, you should be getting by country or by location. Whatever that you will be giving here, you will not have. You will have only one employee. Right. If it is a country or if it is a location, if it is a spacer organization, you will be having a bunch of team members and you will be getting all that information here. If you wanted to go with the employee, obviously you will be having only one employee. For each of the row that you are selecting here, in previous example, let's say if it is, if it is 50 employees are there, you will be clicking on this and by cost center, give me all the 50 employees. It will give you all the 50 employees, employee information. And then further, you'll be having an option to go further to actually see the detailed data section. What will be giving details of employee? I'm with one more question. Like, how do we know which report to select, whether advanced or matrix, when you get a requirement? Based on requirement only, you'll be able to understand whether you need to go with advanced, whether you need to go with matrix. If they are asking you, Get me a kind of headcount report based on location, based on country, or based on any other criteria they're giving you. By default, you can take it as matrix. If they're asking you, get me headcount report. If they're not specifying you the criteria based on country, it has to be based on location. It has to be, if this information you are not getting, you're going with advanced because you don't know what you have to group. You didn't get that requirement. You'll go with your advanced report, which will give you where you'll not give any filter criteria. It runs for everyone and it will give you the total count in the report. But that does not give clear information for user. If they wanted to go with headcount, on what basis they wanted to have this headcount? Based on each location that they have their office or based on each cost center that they have. If this is a requirement, blindly go for matrix. Thank you. The group option is actually a critical thing which you need to be aware of what you can take here. You can take max 8 other than 8. You cannot have. And it is mandatory at least one group after specific. Without that, you will be not able to run your report. And you'll be getting a question also. Can we have a matrix report without any group? Grouping. If I'm removing employee, I'm getting a rough that you don't specify any group. You cannot have your matrix report without at least one group. You have to specify where it groups the data by that field. And what is the max grouping values that you can give? It is 8. By default, you'll be having 8 and more than 8 you cannot actually add. All these are your, might be asked in any of the screening or might be if you're going for certification. These are all the questions that you will be asking. You'll be getting asked in matrix report area. I'm at one general question. Who can take a Workday certification? Because when I searched in Google, it said, like we have to work in a company. What company? It is partner company. If you're working for a customer or if you're working for a partner from both companies, you can go for certification. Like in my company, I'm using Workday. I can go for a Workday certification. You can go if your company is a customer company. And if you wanted to get certified in reporting area. Only for reporting, you'll not have certification. It comes with HCM reporting. It will be a combination of some HCM and reporting where you'll be called as reporting certified or HCM certified. When you say that you are HCM certified, it is also mean that you are reporting certified as well. We'll be having first level of certification, both partner company as well as customer company. In customer company, we call it as Pro HCM certified. If you're actually applying for Pro HCM certified, you'll be going with reporting as well as business process. All core HCM transactions that you will be performing core HCM business process and report. Combination of these three is called as Pro HCM certified skills, where you'll also go through with the reporting as well. Other than the resources that you are providing or Cloud Foundation is providing in general, do you have any book or a link where you can prepare for the certification? Certification in terms of core HCM that covers business process and reportings. You can get from community. if you go to community deck or dump, will be called as. Not sure if Workday is providing that deck for, but they'll be giving you clear information. What are the areas that they are going to give you questions? What are the areas that they are going to question you? All those areas they'll be serving in community. If you are now aware of advanced reporting, you are aware of matrix reporting. In Pro Certification, HCMM Pro Certification, they'll be covering advanced and matrix only. They'll not go into any other report. This is not a kind of core advanced reporting kind of certification. You'll be not get into more reporting options. The first level of certification that goes with this Pro HCM certified resource, where they'll be asking for basic reporting and basic business process transaction and core HCM. If you are actually hiring an employee, is staffing model mandatory? If it is mandatory, why you choose a staffing model? Kind of things you know you'll be asked. Core HCM transactions. And coming to reporting, whatever I was asking, right? With, can you create a matrix report without grouping? Or how many groupings max can have in your report? Such kind of questions you know you'll be getting in terms of basic reporting. And when you wanted to go with advanced reporting, you know more advanced questions of reporting will be asked. Calculated fields will be covered and your data reporting also will be covered in advanced reporting. Thank you very much. And now let's see the option to actually have this report attached to any of the dashboard in Workday. How we can attach this report to the dashboard. Now, the report is not shared to any of the group. But when you wanted to actually attach this to the dashboard, you must specify at report level who must access this report. When you go into dashboard, who should have access to this report to run it? That kind of information you need to specify. If you're giving to share authorized users, whoever have access to source level, they should be able to view that information. And if you're going with specific user and a specific security group, you can actually give. Administrator. They are giving a dashboard, they'll be able to only HR. Administrator should be able to access this report. Employer self, which will give. Every employee should be able to access this report. If you're giving employee a self, in that case, no need of giving HR, administrator, just to give you the security groups. What we are adding that dashboard level. The security groups also will be coming to picture. I'll just go with the 2. It should be. And when you wanted to have your report output to be populated in dashboard, 2 mandatory things that you need to know is worklet. What worklet you need to actually make your reports to enable as a worklet? Once you enable that as a worklet, the system will ask you where you wanted to populate this worklet. By default, it will be giving you home on my dashboard. Let's keep as it is. But if there are any kind of specific custom dashboard that you will be creating, if you wanted to, this report will be populated in that dashboard. You need to give that dashboard name here. But by default home and my dashboard is known. It will be coming. And you can see how this will be populated in these 2 dashboards. Where is my dashboard here? Let's go to the dashboard. In dashboard, home is one of the dashboard, right? Go to the home. Add the worklet to the list of items that you see here. Show me the report that made it as. And there's a reason why you're getting error here. Your what is there already saying? You cannot add temporary report worklist to the dashboard kind of option that it is giving. When we have created a report, we have not selected any kind of temporary checkbox, but automatically that has got assigned and it is created as a temporary report. That's the kind of setup that they have made. If there is a case, properly we will not be able to attach this to this thing. But once you attach this report here, we will be seeing that report in view, my apps that I was seeing, right? Well, all the I have seen you. There is no function where you can make it not temporary. It comes temporary by default on R. There is a kind of setup. Tenant owner has made that there will be no manual intervention to delete all the reports automatically. Those reports will get wiped off after a specific 7 days of default time is there. After that, by automatically those report will get wiped off, that there will be no manual. And this was, like normal tenant that we're working on. We would find the dashboard in that way you clicked on earlier. Right. If you add it here, you should be able to find that report. If you go to my apps, whatever dashboard that you will be specifying, you will be able to go to that particular dashboard. Since it have selected home dashboard, you should be seeing that in mind. This is home dashboard, whatever we are seeing. Whatever the landing page that you're seeing here, sorry, this is not the report. This is the report definition at the front page of Workday. This is a kind of home page that you call it as. And whatever the reports that you wanted to see. In a home dashboard, when you make the configuration of what as how I have made, you'll be seeing all this report information. You can see our nation headcount is one of the report that you're seeing. Similarly, whatever report I've created will be populated like this. Will it be a specific heading? Will it be a specific heading? You'll have an option to give the headcount of the heading here. You'll have an option to give your heading. You have an option to give. Also, you have an option to actually make it as a required or not required. You have an option to give that information. And whatever security that you have given at report level, those will be populated. And here also you have an option to control your report. Let's say you have given to a bunch of security groups, and those security will be able to access report. But at dashboard level, if you wanted to restrict to only limited security groups, you can remove few security groups and make few security groups to actually view that information in dashboard. Such kind of option that you have at dashboard level. You have an option to restrict at dashboard level. Thank you. Any questions in Matrix? We'll be creating a few more reports with a few more examples with Matrix. But any questions here? I'm like, when you make the Matrix report as a worklet, does that mean like I can use it in any dashboard? Like for example, creating a dashboard from scratch. Only thing is you need to specify when you make your report as a worklet. And if you wanted to populate that worklet in any specific dashboard, be it custom dashboard, that dashboard has to be there in Workday. You need to specify that dashboard here where your worklet has to be available, such kind of things, and it is specified before that you need to ensure, let's say, custom dashboard. If you've created any kind of specific dashboard, you wanted to populate all the reports that you're creating in that particular dashboard. You need to give that custom dashboard name here. These are all delivered dashboard. My home, my dashboard. These are all delivered things. But if you have option, you know that you've created any kind of specific custom dashboard and you wanted to populate that in this report. In the dashboard, you can specify the dashboard name. Thank you. When you go to maintain dashboard, you have an option to actually choose the list of delivered dashboard or if you wanted to create a new dashboard. Custom dashboard, you can also create that one. You have an option to. These are all the options that are available. If you wanted to create your own dashboard, you can create custom dashboard. And whatever you'll be creating through this task, you need to give that dashboard here. I think since you are reporting analysis, you should be having access to create dashboard as well in your tenant. Just try what I was telling you. Right. You have control, without any kind of temporary report at all. Just try with it. Create any report and make it as a worklet enabled and choose any kind of dashboard. Deliver dashboard and see how it works. Then create one custom dashboard and give you a worklet under the dashboard. And you should be able to go to that dashboard. You should be getting the dashboard in this list, and if you click on run, you should be able to see the report that you have attached to your custom dashboard. Just try that one and see if you have any questions about tomorrow's session. We'll go with one more matrix report with a different use case. And after that will be, or we can look for a trended report tomorrow, since matrix report and trended report are same. We'll be using the other example with the trended report that will be covering trended report as well. We'll try to cover the other report types also, that you must be familiar when to choose what report. Mostly advanced report and matrix report. And to the lower extent, you'll also use trended report also. Max, you'll be getting your requirements in these three areas. All the reporting and dashboard requirements you'll be getting in these three areas. And there is a concept called the scorecard executive scorecards. All these are something analytic kind of requirements. When you have such kind of analytic requirements like build a scorecard, build a kind of any kind of KPI dashboards and all. Those are core analytic kind of requirements. When you get such kind of requirements, you'll be choosing composite report. We'll be trying to cover composite report also. But max to max, you'll be playing around with these three report types: advanced, matrix and trended. In rare cases, if there is any kind of typical analytic requirements that you'll be getting, you'll choose composite report, which is a mixture of multiple reports in composite report. Composite report can hold matrix report. Composite report can hold advanced report. We have multiple reports that will be attached in composite report. We'll try to cover that as well. And also there are small reports like trend transpose report, inbox report, search report. All those reports also we'll try to cover. Just try to create now a matrix report with country, rate, country or cost center. We've created rate by the same kind of report with supervisor organization, or by gender or age. You can choose any of the report criteria which actually gives you the account. Take any of the option and try to run a report and get your feedback in our tomorrow session. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.